Hey y'all, what's happening? What's going on? Welcome to another Friday evening with the Coffee and Tea podcast. I know typically it's dark, we got mood lighting, the lighting is on, it's just bright as all get out and you can't see it. But we're still here, we're still ready, and we're still going forward. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a good show today. If you don't know, what the topic of the show is I'm a big kid now. Now, many of us grew up in the 90s. Who remembers where that like catchphrase or where that part of the jingle comes in? I know everybody not here yet, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. It's a part of the Toys R Us jingle, and one of the things is say I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid, so we're gonna talk about some of the things that actually have grown up with us, and how they affect us now. So a lot of things have been, I don't know if it's resurfacing or just surfacing here on like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, where there's just an abundance of like people really showing like the things that they're into. You get a lot of people who, me included, are really into sneakers, and then you get people that are really into wrestling and folks that are really into Legos. I did not know that Legos were as big as they are. So we're going to get into some of those conversations this evening here on the Coffee and Tea podcast. So go ahead and shout out that you're watching, that you're here. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're on YouTube, on Facebook, we'll be able to see that. And as the conversation progresses, as always, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask our guests, then you can go ahead and do that as well in the chat. Right now, I'm waiting for the guests to come. So, traffic, all of that kind of stuff. So they are on their way and we'll be able to get into the conversation. But I'm going to go ahead and start the conversation anyway. So, I am of the sneakerhead variety. A lot of people that know me are like, Chris, when did you become a sneakerhead? I am underground sneakerhead. I have always been fascinated with sneakers, um, just because sneakers are stylish and they're a comfortable thing to wear, as well as they make sneakers in so many different colors and shapes and varieties and stuff now. Like, you can kind of give your own style and personality when it comes to sneakers. But what I didn't know is that there are like sneaker conventions and workshops and all this other kind of stuff, and it just amazes me the level of like what people do for these sneakers and the amount of money that people pay for some of these sneakers, some of the retro ones, and things like that. So it's always very interesting to me to find out how people became sneakerheads and all of that kind of stuff. And then, like I said at the opening of the show, like Legos. Now, when I remember Legos, you built a castle or you built a boat. And then, they're Lego superheroes and all that kind of stuff. Now they have like Legos that you can build like a painting, or you can build like flowers and all kinds of craziness. And there are legitimate, like underground, like people, and then there are organizations and all of these types of things that go along with like people who are into that stuff. So it just amazes me. I was talking to a coworker about it, and she was saying how she bought Legos for like her mom and someone else for Mother's Day. So I was like, wow, like, and she said it was the flower one. And people are really putting these things together. And how this show topic kind of came about was I had seen some things along Instagram that showed um, that folks were just like showing off and displaying like their Lego kind of things. They were just like pulling them out left and right and all of these types of things. So it was just a really interesting thing. And then having these conversations with folks, like it was just a very interesting conversation. So I said to myself, like, I wondered how many other people were kind of into that. And one person is actually here, and I'm going to bring him in. He'll be able to introduce himself and be able to join the conversation. So, this is my friend from God a long time ago. Um,
Long time ago. Long
long
time.
time ago. So, Mr. Johnston, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I mean, there's nothing much to say about me. My name is Brian. Yeah, I'm Brian. I've known Chris since ninth grade, so 30 years ago. Oh my God, 30 years ago.
Why did you have to say that out loud? You didn't have to say that. You could have just said we went to high school together and just left it there.
Yeah, I could have, but then, yeah, 30 years ago. Wow. So and it's
He
funny
he's older
because
though, y'all. Just know that he's much older.
a
Um,
year, 1 year, 1 year.
a year makes a difference.
Yeah, okay.
So Brian is one of my friends that I've had this conversation with, and funny enough, Brian is into a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about today. So Brian, I'm going to ask the question, like, what are your things that you are into?
I mean, what's today's topic? So it's all of that. So I guess I could start at the oldest. I've always been into comic books. Comic books has been my thing. As far as back as I can remember, I have always enjoyed comic books. Even before I was outright collecting them, one of the ways my parents used to pacify me if I went to the ER or if I went to a hospital, if we went to a hospital, specifically GBMC, in their gift shop, in the back, it's crazy. I remember this. In the back of the gift shop, at the bottom row, you had your housekeeping magazines, and at the very last row was a row of comic books. And I distinctly remember seeing Incredible Hulk, Superman. Not Superman so much. I remember Incredible Hulk, Spider Man, maybe Batman, maybe. But I think the first time I brought a comic book, it was I still have the. It was
The fact that you still have at least a picture of it is crazy, Tim.
yeah. I had the first comic book I ever remember purchasing, not even purchasing, given to. It was a friend of mine. His name was David. Shout out to David if he's watching. David Jones. He got me into comic books. He brought me. It was Captain America, issue number 384, and it was guest starring Iceman, and it was $1. Just let you know how long ago that was. First
Jeez.
printed, first printed in April of 1984. I mean April, not 1980, but it's in April. I want to say 89. I can't remember. I want to say 89, but I remember being in middle school, either elementary or middle school. So yeah, comics was a thing. Wrestling was always a thing. Wrestling was one of the things that me and my brother shared with my grandfather. My grandfather loved wrestling. He actually took us to a match, and it was at the arena or the Civic Center for a season, folks.
That's old people.
It was at the Civic Center, and we actually witnessed history. It was WCW Bash at the Beach. It was in 1989, 90. I could be off on a year.
Jesus.
But with Ron Simmons, who was once a collegiate football player and he played Pro Bowl, made history by defeating Van Vader to become the first black world champion for wrestling. So that was big. So wrestling was the thing. What is Legos? Legos always been in my DNA. Even as a kid, I always played with Legos. Honestly, I haven't really gotten into Legos till I had kids,
Hmm.
and it was a way that I connected with them. And then when I saw that they made Lego sets for adults, oh, it went nuts there. It's not on your list, but another thing that me and my kids have an affinity with Nerf guns.
Okay.
I have a real crazy collection of Nerf guns. Like we have random Nerf wars here in the house, and they say I don't play fair because I have the ones with the balls. They got the foam darts. I got the rubber balls. But Nerf
I
guns
don't
is another.
know.
Yeah, Nerf guns, and of course my coup de grace, my most expensive hobby is
Mm.
sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
That just I've always had an affinity for sneakers, but they just became I just kicked it up a notch because I think now with the whole reseller market,
Mm-hmm.
it's become more accessible for sneakers. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, every topic you posted, I've had my hand in, and still have
Okay.
my hand. And shout
Well,
out to the Superman T-shirt, favorite
but,
superhero.
uh, I think you got your Fantastic Four T-shirt on. It looks like it.
So so
Yeah,
I have my Fantastic Four T-shirt on.
and you got
So
the fours on too.
I have the military fours, which are the same color. So these fours are fantastic.
So,
Everybody didn't everybody didn't get the correlation between the Fantastic Four and the military fours, but those who knew.
so here's my question because you just took that shoe off and it made me think about something that's on the shoe. So your shoe still has the little Nike tag on it,
Hmm.
right? Like why? Like why do sneaker people like keep those types of things? Y'all are walking around with this tag on for what?
So it's more of an for me. It's more of an aesthetic thing. I don't do it with every one of my sneakers because the only ones that really comes with the tags are the fours. So are they down here? They're not down here. They're upstairs. I have the reimagined fours, which was released a little bit last year, and I have the tag on there. It's more of like I mean, for me, it's aesthetic. My daughter get after me all the time, like, "Daddy, please take the tag off the shoe."
Right.
It's the same way how people feel when you see people with fitted hats on. They still keeps the stickers on there. It's more of
Mm-hmm.
a aesthetic thing. It's more of a status symbol, almost like, yeah, I got them, and it's nothing for me to take them all, put them on my keychain or whatever. But I just keep them on there. It's nothing real for me. It's nothing real symbolic. I'm quite sure there's someone who has a real whole history with it, but for me, I just it's more of an aesthetic thing for me.
Okay. So let's stay in the sneaker vein here for a second. Uh so you said that kind of is more of a recent hobby. How did you kind of get into it? Even though you've kind of had an affinity for it, it was in the background. How did you get to this full blown kind of thing?
I Again, it just goes back to the accessibility. Like, I mean, they was always accessible, but recent I want to say recent events gave me the option to really delve into it. Um, Things like the sneaker app, Nike app, um, Facebook Marketplace, those things are allowed where you don't always like. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I was lazy. I did not like standing in line waiting for sneakers to come out. I didn't get that part of it. So I'm glad I missed that whole standing in line um, age. Like I've no, I've never stood in line for a pair of sneakers. Never. But yeah, it's just more. It's just more the accessibility. Like I say, it's always been there. Um, I think my earliest memory of being quote a sneakerhead or wanting sneakers. If Anthony's watching, he's gonna laugh because I tell the story every time. A couple years ago, I was starting eighth grade or ninth grade, and the Jordan Olympic sixes came out.
Okay.
My dad gave me and my brother a budget of $200. We thought $200
Y'all was doing
per
something.
person. We thought it was 200 per person. It was $200 technically between the two, so we each had $100 to spend on a pair of sneakers. So we go to East Point Mall. I goes in the Foot Locker. There's the Olympic sixes sitting in the kid sizes for $85. Cool. I'm on the budget. Let's go.
Okay.
I go get a sneaker. I like, hey, can I get this in the six? At the time, I thought I was wearing a 6.5 in kids. Um, no, I was 8.5 in men's, which now kicked it from an $85 shoe to a $140 shoe for a 13-year-old. Didn't think my dad was going to pull the trigger on it.
Bruh.
He brought it, but in doing so, I cut into Anthony's part of the budget. So only left with Anthony was $70 to get a shoe. So while I'm walking around with a pair of J's, Anthony's walking around with a pair of black and white British Knights. Anthony, if you're watching, I still apologize. When those shows are when them shoes are retro, those are the one shoes Anthony will not buy.
Really?
He has such a disdain for them because of that story. But yeah, it's more the accessibility now that's gotten me into doing the sneakers.
Okay. So, have you been to like any conventions or, like only, I don't know, only sneaker people events or
No,
whatever?
I have. Well, I've done the sneaker balls when, and that, they're becoming a
A
fad now
thing.
where everybody does it. So I haven't yet been to a sneaker convention only because Baltimore they don't. I mean, we're starting to get a foothold in it, but a lot of people don't look at Baltimore as a big resale market. I don't know why. Some of the biggest sneakers in history have come out of Baltimore. One being the New Balance 990. That's a big Baltimore DMV type of thing. Also, the Air Force One owes its life to Baltimore.
Because
Uh, Baltimore kept it in rotation. We kept asking for it. When Nike released the all white Air Force One, so it was supposed to be in a limited run.
hmm
At one time, the only place you could get Nike Air Forces in the 80s and 90s was Charlie Rudo's or Cinderella shoes on Park Heights. The popularity in Baltimore persuaded Nike to keep releasing. We even Baltimore's at 1 year. I think it was the 10 year or the it was one. I want to say it was the 30 year anniversary of the Air Force One. Baltimore got its own edition where it was the Baltimore City skyline. Be more. It's There's a whole documentary on YouTube
Crazy
that
town.
details how Baltimore saved Air Force Ones.
Okay.
Where's the
Yeah.
Where's the highest amount I would spend on sneakers? So, good question. So theoretically, my in sneaker culture we have what is called grails. Grails are just what the word says. They're a shoe that's just outside of your reach. My grail is the Jordan 1 shattered backboards. Shattered back. The reason why they call it shattered backboards, Jordan one time played in Italy, and it was the one time he dunked and shattered the backboard. Shattered backboards are in Baltimore Oriole colors. It's like an off white, black, and orange colorway.
Okay.
That's my grail. The only reason why I don't have that shoe yet, that shoe has retail sometimes up to $2,500. The most I spent on a pair of shoes was $300. The most I'm willing to spend right now, probably 450 at the most.
Crazy town.
Yeah, it's it's a whole like I just watched a video on YouTube where a guy is auctioning off his sneaker collection that's re- worth around $2 million, just the sneakers.
I cringe when I go and try to buy $120 pair of
Nah,
sneakers. Like,
$120 pair of sneakers to me is a pair of Air Maxes. That's like, yeah. I just paid like the last pair of sneakers I brought was the Jordan Space Jam lows, and it was 210, and
bruh,
I paid that without flinching.
I saw some dunk lows that were, now I can't remember if it might have been a Nike app because they might have been on clearance or it might have been downtown locker room. One of those. And like I had them in the cart and then I was contemplating like making life decisions about $120 pair of
Yeah,
shoes. Like
it's one of those. It's an all or nothing
it
type of
is.
culture. It's
It is.
it's like because especially when it comes to releases or limited releases. Because if you don't do it when like it's been times, and I lie to you not that I've set at work, set my alarm for when it dropped, and
Well,
excuse
yeah,
my
from the sneakers that, yeah.
niggas that like the ones I just showed you, the military force. It's the one shoe that I had my eye on. They're so comfortable because they use the SB technology, so it's more of a skate. It has a more skateboard cushion. But yeah, I actually set my alarm to get those so I don't miss it. Because if the shoe drops at 10 o'clock and you're on
You
there at
sold.
10, and you're on there at 10:10, yeah, SOL, you are like it's been. I've taken one L on sneakers since I've started. And that was for the Travis Scott Canary Yellows that dropped Saturday.
Mm.
That's the one time I entered a draw and didn't get inside the draw.
Man, them lattes when they dropped, I was mad at
Di-
that.
Different colorways are like exclusive colorways or PEs, as they say, player editions. Those are ones that are hard to come by.
Yeah,
But yeah, eventually I'm gonna hit the lottery and I'm gonna have a whole house like PJ Tucker full of sneakers.
I hear that. Okay, so before we get too in deep ingrained in that, let's talk about let's talk about wrestling. Let's talk about the grown man's soap opera. Now, I knew you had it close. Now, y'all, this what he has, he'll be able to explain it a little bit better, but this is one of the phenomenons that have kind of come across social media a lot more openly, and you see a lot more people with these. I don't want to say reasonable facsimiles because they're not reasonable, and they are as close to the genuine article as they possibly can be without being the actual belt. But people are starting to dive into these and showing it a little more. I can't say that people probably weren't doing it. I mean, the last time I really paid attention to wrestling was probably the Attitude Era, where
Which
I
is
could
everybody's
tell
favorite era.
you, yeah, but I could tell you like what happened, what was going on, who it was about, all that kind of stuff. Now I'm so confused by stuff, especially with this sexy red. Now she all of a sudden want to be a wrestler.
The
Um,
less we talk about that, the more.
no,
But
yeah, I just
honestly,
thought I'd
it's
throw it out
doing
there, but
it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's creating a buzz. It's putting an eyes on a product that normally don't watch.
well, that's Triple H for you. So,
Yeah, but yeah, but
so
yeah,
how long have you been into it?
forever. Like like I said, wrestling. Me and my brother Anthony, we used to watch wrestling with my grandfather like as far as I can remember on Saturdays, Superstars. I remember watching wrestling on WCW, Jim Crockett Promotions. The list goes on what me and my grandfather and Anthony watched. And one of my grandfather's best friends, Miss Daisy, she was another one that watched wrestling. Like they would come over and had conversation about wrestling over coffee. And this is in the mid '80s, early '90s. And but yeah, that's like all I've known is, and you have people who are diehard WWE, diehard AEW, diehard. They won't watch other products. Me, I watch what's enjoyable. Um, I, I never say one is better than the other. There may be times where there's something that's more interesting on AEW compared to All Elite Wrestling, compared to WWE, compared to MLW, which is Major League Wrestling. So there's different. There's never just one federation. There's different federations that where you could get, I guess, your fix from.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know you, so I already know the answer to this question. But for the visual audience that'll watch this, now and on the rewatch, have you ever been to like a wrestling
Yes.
match? Or okay, how many of them have you been to?
Mm. So, all right. I guess I could put it in categories because again, I watch wrestling in any way I can get it. So, Maryland itself has a league, has a federation,
I
Maryland
didn't know
Championship,
that.
Maryland Championship Wrestling (MCW). It takes place at Edgewood, right off of 40 at the RJ Arena. Some of them the more it's more of a independent federation, meaning they don't get they're not as popular as say The Rock and those guys. But
Hmm.
it's been times where I've been to matches there and I've seen the Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy. I've met the Big Show. I've met the Dudley Boys. I've met Dusty Rhodes. I've met a lot of guys. So I've been to a couple of those. I've been to a couple of WWE shows. Um, I've been to at least one AEW show. My goal. So WWE puts on what is called the Big Four. The Big Four for
Okay.
WWE is WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble takes place in January. WrestleMania is in April. SummerSlam obviously is in the summer in August. Survivor Series is normally around Thanksgiving. Going to one of those is in my sports bucket list. I've been to a couple of the side, I guess you call them side pay-per-views like Payback. I've been to a couple of Raws. I've been to a couple of SmackDowns. Um, but yeah, I want to experience one of the big fours, and
Okay.
that's when it gets pricey. But yeah, I've been to. I can't remember. I never really counted. I know at least 10. I've been to
Wow.
one more just recently at my birthday. They was here
Okay.
for what's called a house show for on the 26th. House shows are untelevised shows, and sometimes house shows are a little bit better than the televised shows because they have a little bit more freedom with their characters, so
Mm.
you get to interact with them a little bit more. It's been house shows I went to. Hi, Caleb. Everybody, this is my youngest son, Caleb. You want to say hi? Uh, Go eat. I'll be there in soon. Okay, thank you. It's been times where you're able to meet some of the superstars. You're interacting more so on a personal level because they don't have to hustle and bustle of being on TV. Go, Caleb.
Caleb said he wanted to be on too.
Yeah, unless you ask him to. No, go.
So, what is what's the draw for you to wrestling? Like I know there's a connection with your grandfather.
Mm.
What is that the only draw
No,
or
it's for lack of a better word, it's entertaining as hell. Like some of the stuff, like I think if one argument I can make with people who has a thing against wrestling is that they don't see it as a real sport. Yes, the winner and losers are scripted out. It's a scripted show.
mm-hmm.
It's, but they're just as athletic, if not more so than some of your favorite athletes. You have to think about it. These people perform almost 365 days a year, and they wrestle in conditions that you probably don't want to stand outside for a bus for. Like
Mm-hmm.
they've been in heat, they've been in the rain, they've been in cold. Like most of their big fours that I was just talking about are held in arenas. They just had WrestleMania in Philly in April. I think at the time of the ring time, it was 55 degrees there. Now you got to think about you done oiled up in baby oil, have nothing on but just your jaws for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to go out there and perform in front of people who pay their good money for it. So I really respect them, and like I said, I've known from MCW, I've worked with people who has done that, and it's no easy task. Like you running ropes, there's a whole school to become a wrestler. Like you don't just get up and say I'm gonna be a wrestler, and then yeah, all right, come on, come wrestle. Like you have to learn to fall. You have to learn because for the most part, you're trusting somebody else with your body. When you see them
Yeah.
people slamming, throwing them, there's a communication between them two that if I don't hear you say, all right, do it, and I miss my cue, you could run to a rope wrong, you could fall wrong. That you could risk being paralyzed, death in some cases. I've seen instances where people have died in the ring, with athletes have
Really?
died. Owen Hart is one of the ones who died in the ring.
Mm.
It was a freak accident. He died in the ring. There's some Mexican wrestlers that have broken necks in the ring. Some has left the ring paralyzed. Like it's instances where, but yeah, I think for me it's just entertaining. It's fun. It's fun to watch. It's no different than watching Real Lives of Hollywood or whatever they watch. Y'all
Yeah.
watch.
The
Y'all watch.
scripted don't say y'all. The reality TV shows.
Yeah,
Because honestly, that's it. It's a physical reality TV
reality
show
shit.
for the
Yeah,
most part.
like it's not just wrestling. There's a story behind it, and sometimes the story moves from a backstage segment to in the ring. Like you have the ring psychology of how you work a crowd. Like it's so much into wrestling that some people just think it's two men out there in the slap boxing in the
Hmm.
underworld world today.
Okay. So with all of the things that you're into, a lot of people try to say, it's just a hobby. It's not that serious. Um, have you found, and your situation is your situation, um, without divulging extra information. Um, like, have you ever encountered when people find out that you're into these things, like whether they're friends or like people that you've dated, um, that they're put off or like, why are you still into that kind of stuff?
I've had the question why. Like, I mean, but it doesn't. I don't. Like I'm gonna do it. I'm a regardless. Like, because honestly, that's a part of who I am. Like, you're gonna see me with a t-shirt on. You're gonna see me running around the house with my belt. Like, you're gonna see me playing with. Like, you're gonna see me playing video games. Like, so I mean, accepting me is accepting my hobbies as well. Like, you may have hobbies that I may not agree with, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna look down on you. If anything, I'm gonna ask you about your hobby. Maybe I can get a better understanding of you as a person
Mm-hmm.
through your hobby. Like, if you wanna, yes, go ahead. If you're one of the ones, you gonna have to wait a minute, but give me a minute, okay? If you want to learn me, sometimes that's the best way to get to know me is show interest in my hobbies. Like, I legit get goosebumps when I talk about certain things concerning my hobbies because I have a legit joy about talking about it. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, it, even when you say you don't want to divulge, for those who may or may not be watching, I was married at one time. Unfortunately, she passed away. Even with my wife when she was living, um, people used to ask her, "How do you feel that your husband plays video games? He
Mm-hmm.
reads comic books. He watches wrestling." Like, and her answer to that is, "He's home. I know where he's at. Like, he may be
Facts.
playing video games, but it doesn't take away from his duties." Casey, right now, it doesn't take away from his duties as far as being a husband, or as you can see, being a dad. Like
Mm-hmm.
that never takes precedent over my duties as a man. Like, yeah, I may be playing on a video game and my wife will be like, "Babe, we gotta go." Cool. It's not like, "All right, give me 15 minutes." If I'm in a place where I could save it or I could like disconnect from it, I'll go. And even on the other side of that, the guys I play games with, they understand that, hey, at the end of the day, I'm a husband. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that I'm whipped on anything, but my duty to my wife outweighs my duty to Call of Duty.
Okay. So, have your kids picked up and gotten into any of the things that you're into?
No, no.
You seem real disappointed in that.
Now, I mean, not in the way I was. They know who they are, but and again, I never want to try to force it on them. But no, they won't. They'll watch wrestling here. Now, my daughter, she might watch it here and there, but nothing to the extreme where Monday nights and we're sitting at the TV watching. I have to damn near persuade them to let me get the TV so I can watch. It's not like that. Y'all wrestling on. Oh, for real? No, no, like no. Especially my boys. I mean, I'm not mad, but I'm mad. But yeah, they didn't pick up any of it, which is weird because they're always around it, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's probably why they didn't pick it up because they see it so much. They like when they're not around it, it's probably a relief for them. And
Okay.
again, I'm not gonna be that dad. Like, you need to like, nah. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But guess what? Dad's gonna watch it. You can
Now,
either go
did they pick it up into any of the other things? The sneakers, the Legos, the
Legos
comics?
definitely. Legos, yes. Comics here and there. Austin more he's getting into reading a lot more, so he's reading a lot of my comics, stuff like that. He was in Lion King last summer, and while I was in the comic book shop, I saw a Scar comic book, and I brought him that, and he was enthralled with that, so he was started reading that, and he reads some of the ones I have, like the ones he knows, like Black Panther. He's read a couple issues of my Black Panthers, but that's about it. Like the Legos they picked up on. They do the Legos. I'm more the reason I'm a Lego guy because of them, because they
Okay.
it's not that they excuse me, it goes by if we go to the mall and they see the Lego store, we gotta go in. So just going in with them has turned me into one more so.
Okay. All right. And then people think that, like our hobbies, those of us that have them and are very into them, we tend to, just look at them as our hobbies, the things that we enjoy to do, things we've always done. Do you believe that you use any of them to escape or cope with situations and stuff that happen in your life?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like again, going like again, my wife passed away in July, so video games has definitely been a coping because it's a release. Like you escape your here and now. It's just for a few minutes or an hour or so into a world that doesn't exist. So it gives you a place to release. Like everybody jokes about GTA games like Call of Duty how violent they are. I used to joke. I was like, I'd rather do it on TV than in real life. I'd rather do it on a video game than real life. I'm not going to get arrested for shooting up somebody. But yeah, it's definitely. I've used that, and even with sneakers, that's why I say it's such an expensive thing because sometimes and people laugh, but retail therapy is a real it's a real thing. Like, and people joke and send me memes. You sent me some that says how can I make you feel better? Like, yeah, let's go buy sneakers, and it's
Mm-hmm.
that because with sneakers, especially with sneakers. On the sneakers that when you see that when if you get a pair of sneakers, do I have the screenshot? If you was to get a pair of sneakers on sneakers, they give you you'll get a because what happens you have to play a waiting game. So you hit
Yes.
the button and you wait and then you get this. You probably can't because it's mirrored, but it
Well,
says
yes.
got 'em. You get the got 'em, and it's an instant euphoria that you got, especially if you standing next to somebody and they don't get them. So I think that like with that, that's a certain sense of a quick, for lack of a better word, a quick high, a quick fix. Like I got
Yeah.
them. You happy, you excited, you got like so. Um, so yeah, like some of my hobbies have definitely been a release and have been I've been using that to help with a lot of stuff. What's wrong? But yeah, yeah, it's that my hobbies have definitely helped me with a lot of my stuff.
Well, and that's good. And I think to some degree, like everybody uses hobbies to help cope and go through things. Have you ever felt like the hobby kind of is taking over life?
No, no, I've always prioritized where my hobby fell in my life. Like I never stopped doing something else because my hobby took place. Now, as a kid, yeah, with comic books, I used to do this thing where my parents would give me lunch money, and I knew if every Tuesday or Wednesday, I used to go to the doctors in Timonium, and it used to be a Rite Aid next to the doctor's office. And I knew Wednesdays is when new comic books are released. Every Wednesday, that's release date. I knew if I went to the doctor's on Wednesday and I went to Rite Aid, there was going to be new comic books for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially in like ninth, eighth, ninth grade, my parents used to give me probably $5, $10 for lunch, which then was a lot of money.
Big deal.
So instead of me eating lunch, I would hold on to the money, and then I know when I went to the doctors, after I got out the doctors, I was like, "Can I go to Rite Aid?" And my grandfather and them automatically knew what I was going in there for. And we get halfway down the street, I'm like, "I'm hungry." It is like my father's like, "You ain't eat lunch because you wanted to buy comic books."
Comic book.
So, but as an adult, again, it's not that I've outgrown my hobbies. I just now prioritize my hobbies.
Well, that's good. So you're not like spending rent money or mortgage money, like
No,
trying
all
to buy
that is
sneakers.
paid before I do anything. Like I joke with like, "Yo, you buy." I'm like, "Listen, I can tell you one thing for sure. All my bills are paid. My rent is paid. I don't. I'm not. I don't buy a pair of sneakers. Then the kids like, Daddy, how we gonna eat? And nah, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, those who do that got their priorities screwed up.
Yeah,
and shouldn't be buying sneakers or any or Legos or anything.
but they buy them anyway. Um, so in the foreseeable future, do you feel like you're going to be 80 years old and still collecting sneakers and comic books and
Maybe,
Legos and all that kind of stuff?
surprisingly, my comic book collecting has, I ain't gonna say it has waned, but I don't go out as hard as I used to. I mean, I still buy because I work across the street from a comic book store,
A dangerous
so
thing.
it's hard not to go over there every once in a while to see what they got. Shout out to Collectors Corner, Hoff Road. Go check them out. Good spot, good people. But I don't collect as I don't go because most of our read now is digital. It's now on
Okay.
the digital. Good job. What's this? Good job, bud. Is that an elephant? Okay, it's for Catwoman. Okay, he's what he's her Catwoman.
Yeah,
He's designing dresses for Catwoman.
I know that's right.
Um, but yeah, I don't I because like I said, most of the stuff I read are digital. I watch it. I read the digital. It's easier as far as storage now too, because collecting it could get bulky, just like collecting sneakers. Like if after a while, you just got to realize where you can put all this stuff at.
Mm. Does it now with comic books? Does the digital kind of take away from the so like for me,
You
I
want to read
read
an
a lot.
actual book?
Yeah, like I am so like Harry Potter is probably like my like the thing. And I was one of those folks that when the new book came out, I stood in line
Mm-hmm.
for the book release the night before, the night of.
Yeah, yeah.
It's difficult for me to read a digital book because I enjoy the feel of the paper. Are
I mean,
you
some not with comic books, other books, yes.
okay?
Now with comic. Okay, it's extra sister. With comic books, not so much, because again, it's like, but my novels and stuff like that, I rather like it's a different type of a paper.
Hmm.
So yeah, I rather do it that way instead of on digital. But comic books is like again, it's just more of an easier, especially with digitally. I can read a lot of back issues that you can't normally find in
In
the
print.
stores in print, and it's cheaper because again, buying back issues for certain issues could be quite expensive. Um, yeah, it's now that's I think that's more you get more expensive with comic books in some cases more so than sneakers.
That's crazy town. Well, yeah,
Like
especially like first editions and
first
all of
editions.
those kinds of things.
I think my biggest regret, what if kicking the ass, was I did not pick up the first issue of Ultimate Spider-Man when I had the chance, and this was a while ago. That
Okay.
comic book now is worth almost $5,000.
Wow.
I did, thankfully, pick up the series when Superman first died. It's not as much as it is, but I know I could get a decent amount. But yeah, I think the most I've ever spent on comics, $150 on
Mm,
a set of comic books. It was
on a set.
dead,
So how much? How many were in the set though?
just two.
Okay, never mind.
So it was Deadpool #1 and Sabretooth #1, signed by the writer and the artist with a certificate of authenticity with it.
Get out of Dodge.
Um, Unfortunately, when my mom's basement flooded,
Oh, okay.
it got caught in the flood. I looked online. I talked to a guy, and he said there's no way that you could really put a price because he couldn't authenticate it. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, that was the most I
Now,
spent on
now with comic books, particularly like when we first started talking about the conversation, you talked about
going in. Not right now.
resellers and all of those types of things. So like with sneakers, it's easy. Like there's no other way. Like you have to buy the sneaker in order to resell it. Now with comic books, since you're going digital, there's no way to. Are you just trading comic books at that
No,
point?
I mean not really. When it's digital, it's just digital is just more so for you than
Okay.
anything. It's more like I said, it's a convenience of I have it on my iPad. I have the app on my iPad. So if I'm sitting in the doctor's office, I could pull it up, read a comic.
Mm,
If I'm in a train or the subway, I could flip through a comic, and it still works as if it's print. Like Wednesday's new comics release, so I get little notifications and reminders like, hey, this is about to release, and you can do it that way. But yeah, you don't that market now. I don't know much about that market because again I haven't been in. It's been a while since I've really been into collecting comics like I did when I was in high school and younger. But there's still conventions and where excuse me, still conventions where you can resell, can do resales and stuff like that for comics. I haven't been to one in years. It's been a good 20, 25 years since I've been to one.
mm. Now, would you ever cosplay? Like, would you ever dress
So
up and go to like a Otakon or anything like
I
that?
want to, right? So consciously, I don't think I have like I don't see me in spandex. So
Come
um
on, dude. It would be fun.
so some of the characters I would love to cosplay as, but I would probably put my own spin on it. Definitely Green Lantern is one. I think you can get away with doing a subtle type of Green Lantern costume. Always wanted to do Superman. Always wanted to do sometimes just gender swap and race swap certain characters.
Yeah.
Um, so like the not so much one of them like like a black Jean Grey per se or yeah just like I at one time I had a whole list of people I would do, but that could be pricey like dress it because it's not readily available. So
Mm-hmm.
some of that stuff is homemade. Me personally, I don't have the creative talent to pull that off. I think the most creative thing I ever did as far as cosplay or costume. A couple years ago, we did a costume party at one of my last job I worked at, and it's like, Brian, who you going to be? And I was Clark Kent in the sense where I wore a suit with a Superman T-shirt up under it, unbuttoned it, and I had the glasses on, and I painted a little. So I was Clark Kent, not so much Superman. So,
Okay.
but I would want to eventually, probably one day, do it. But as of right now, I'm sticking to T-shirts.
Me, I definitely like my, I guess you would call it the grail. Like for me to cosplay, like I want to do a steampunk like storm.
Okay. Oh, that. Oh,
And I think that would be like so dope because she's atmospheric. Like she's
yeah.
all weather related and steampunk all works with gears and all of the
That would
elements.
be a dope look.
So and then if you think about it, a lot of it would be rusty because she's,
It's
you know,
weather and rain. I get it. I pick up what you're putting down. I get it.
like and I've been to Otakon. I've been to Otakon several times. One time I worked there because I was actually working for the convention center and I was doing money runs for all of the stalls and stuff. So being able now, it was super interesting because I had to walk around with an armed guard the whole time. But just being able to watch and see all the people and what kind of got me into it was there was this one person who I don't know if you've ever played Final Fantasy before, but at the end of it had to be, I think it was like Final Fantasy 3 or 4. It might have been even 5. There's like this big angel that's at the end of it. You're like, yeah, whatever. Um, and this
I mean, I know what
person,
Final Fantasy is. I've never been a big role playing type of
okay,
guy.
yeah.
So I know the game, but when you start, like, I know who Cloud is only because of Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
as far as my Final Fantasies.
there's this big angel at the end of the game when you
I
beat
take
the
your word
game.
for it.
And this person, when I tell you this person embodied like the angel, and then she had like this little mechanism like underneath of one of the wings that made the wings automatically open. And I'm talking like 10, 15 foot
Wow.
wingspan, like full blown. And she was in one of the contests that they have for like the costumes or whatever. And I was like, if she don't win, something ain't right. But those are the lengths that cosplayers go to, and some
Oh, I've
people,
seen.
that's their job.
Yeah, like they that's their bread and butter. Like, and they do costumes for other people.
Hmm.
Um, there's a like, you might remember her from school, Anna. She's
Yeah.
done. I heard the costume she's done has been outrageous. Like she did the Predator. She's done the opera singer from Fifth Element.
Oh
She's
wow.
done. She's done one of the twins from Lovecraft County. Like her creative talent is extraordinary. Shout out to Anna. That's the homie for real. But yeah, I always wanted to do it, just never really had a chance to really divulge into it. Because again, it was one of them things that it wasn't a big priority for me, so it got pushed, pushed back. But
Push to the side.
yeah,
Okay. If you had to give up one, if you had to let go of one of these that you are into, which one could you really part with? That you'd be able
like
to hang it up and not look back.
Legos,
Okay.
only
Even with
because
the
it's.
kids?
I mean, yeah, I could, yeah, even with the kids, like, cause no, it's no glue in here, sir. What's wrong? What are you looking for? Give me a minute. I'm gonna help you out when I come off to get offline. Okay. All right. Can you go and answer them for me? But definitely Lego. Just because I'm so new at it, it's not like if it disappeared. What are you doing? If it disappears today, I wouldn't be mad at it. Granted, I do have a Lego set that I can't wait to build. Um, go bud. Um, where is it? One second.
Well,
Huh?
as he's going to find his one of a kind Lego set that he's yet to build. Just throwing it out there, guys, that our next topic is going to be, and it's funny that you come back on this particular topic. We're going to talk about grief and loss
Oh
for
boy.
the
Ah.
next show. So Brian, you are free to come back as a guest if you would like. But we're going to have some professional folks that'll be on to help us talk about grief and loss. So that'll
I def-
be in the coming weeks.
oh, so yeah. So one Lego thing that I got is
The DeLorean. I didn't know you had that.
yes. I haven't. I'm waiting for the chance to really sit down and get into putting it together. Um, and it's. I wish it was the one from Back to the Future 2 with the flight capabilities on it, but I definitely can't wait to crack this open and get
Is
into
that the
it.
first one?
Yeah, this is from Back to the Future 1. So it is how many parts? Yeah, go ahead, bud. It is how many parts is this? Oh wait, pause. It's three in one, so I can do all three. It's three in one. It just says three in one. So I can do Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future and Back to the Future 3. So yeah. But I don't know, I can't remember how many parts. But I can't wait till I get a dedicated space where I can really sit down, take my time, get into it. But yeah, Legos probably be the one I give up. Comics because I had just too much history with comics. Again, with wrestling, just because the what I shared with it was as far as my grandfather. And sneakers is just beyond. It's a fashion. So even if sneakers was to die now, you still could find a reason for fashion. What do
Yeah.
you open? This is Shazam. That's one of my favorite guys. Yes. But he found all of my little trinkets that he wants to play with, so he's playing with them.
Okay.
So I guess
Uh,
yeah, Caleb's gonna be that one kid that's gonna like it just for the simple fact they're toys. But then
mhm.
once he start learning who's who, I think he's gonna get more into it.
Get more
Austin and
into it.
Austin and Marty, they're too far gone. They look at me like,
They can always get into it.
yeah,
You
Maya,
just
no,
you never know. It could be something that draws them in.
fighting a losing battle.
Now, outside of your brother, do you share like your hobbies with other people? Like, are there, folks at the gym that also, talk or are into this, or folks at church or anything like that?
Honestly, not that. Now, as far as the gym, I don't know because we very rarely talk about that. Now with sneakers, yes. At the gym, one of the coaches, Mike, actually Mike and Troy, they're both big sneakers heads. It's
Okay.
funny. Me and Mike was just joking. I was doing pull ups and I couldn't get him out. He's like, "Don't you buy another Jordan unless you could do these pull ups." Like, and so yeah, me and Mike, we definitely shared that. Um, okay, good job. Go play. Go play. As far as comic books, not so much so. I mean, now with comic books, is more people are more talking about the movies
Mm-hmm.
than the actual source material. So when questions come up, they're trying to base their answers off of just what they see on the big screen, which
Mm-hmm.
could be far from the actual. And it's funny you asked because I was in the mall. What was it? Sunday, probably Saturday. Saturday. I was at East Point Mall Saturday. A friend of mine was in there, and him and his friends they was having this discussion, and he like, "Brian, we need your help with this." I was like, "What's up?" He like, "You'll know." So because they knew how well I knew, they're like, who's stronger, Scarlet Witch or the Phoenix? And they automatically thought Phoenix. Nah, it's not Phoenix. Absolutely not. They like, and again, they based their knowledge off of what they saw between WandaVision and the Phoenix movies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if you ever want to see how powerful Wanda is, there's a story in the comics called House of M, where she totally rewrites history to make mutants the dominant species. And at the end of that, when for lack of, they pissed her off, she uttered the words, "No more mutants," and wiped out 90% of the mutant population.
God. She pulled something worse than Thanos.
Yeah, for the most people woke up the next morning without their powers, and which is crazy because some of their powers included flight. They may have been in mid-flight when this happened. Could be a physical based power where their size altered drastically from what. So it was definitely yeah. But yeah, that's like that when I have those conversations, more so me educating them on something past what they saw in the movies, which I get a kick out of because they look at me like I'm like, how do you retain
Mm-hmm.
all of this knowledge? Like, but one, I'm always reading it. I'm always reading about it. Like just this with the X-Men '97 series, which was
Phenomenal. Phenomenal. If you haven't
phenomenal.
seen it, it's on Disney Plus.
You're
All
doing
the
yourself a
episodes
disservice.
are available right now. Go and binge watch it.
If any episode, watch episode 5. It's called Remember It. It's been nominated for a daytime. I don't want to say daytime Emmy, but it's been nominated an Emmy for that episode. Which I don't want to spoil it, but the name
Phenomenal episode. Yeah.
is in the ending alone is yeah. It's a dope. It's such a dope episode. But yeah, like it's because with X Men '97, they melt together so many different storylines that it made me go back and reread everything that they pulled from. So it was such a dope series. Shout out to Disney and Marvel for putting that together. Like yeah, I heard that they're about to do the same thing to Spider Man, which I pray that they do. Right, because if you watched it at the end of the last episode, at the very end, you see Peter Parker and Mary Jane together,
Mm-hmm.
which in itself is a mind blowing revelation. If you watch the Spider Man animated series, the very last episode has Peter going to look for the real Mary Jane. So to see them and what is technically a continuation of all of that, and to see that he's found Mary Jane, I need to know how that happened. You can't just drop that and not explain to us how did Peter find Mary. I need to know how he found Mary Jane. Is this a Mary Jane from a different world? Is it the one from his Marvel? I
You
need
need the
answers.
answer. You need the
I need
answer.
answers. ASAP. ASAP.
Hilarious.
Because
Well,
again, that's just how I am with that.
it really is a like all of these are very cool things, and we only kind of scratch the surface when it comes to hobbies and things that we're into, because we could say the same thing about painting or pin collecting or stamp
Yeah,
collecting or
absolutely.
any of those types of things. These are just the things that have come across social media, kind of more to a light, but I'm sure that there's still a lot of underground in all of these spaces, especially sneakers. There's so much underground stuff. And it's so ingrained in our culture, hip hop culture,
And
especially.
don't buy reps. That's a whole
Okay.
nother.
So first of all, I don't even know what a rep is.
Reps
Fast track it.
are reps are a knockoff, but they're
Okay.
made to the point where you don't know if it's real or not. Some people take pride. Those who buy them, I don't knock. So I'm gonna take that back. If you buy reps, cool. Because you literally like someone could stand next to me with the same military force, industrial force that I have, and you probably couldn't tell the difference between his pair and my pair. Only difference is not from you get them from knockoff. Like it's like buying a knockoff Louis.
Gotcha.
It's you can't tell unless you're trained to tell.
Mm-hmm.
There's little inconsistencies that you may see that technically you may not see at the naked light. If you're standing eye to eye to me, you just happen to look down. You may not see those inconsistencies unless you take like I've seen videos where people have taken shoes to conventions, try to sell them off as reals, and the person selling them may not even know they
They
brought
knock off.
reps. Like, because again, like you have some where it's to the T where you could tell, you can't tell if it's a rep or not. But yeah, that's a whole another world. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I said,
I
I've
said
seen people.
sneakers. We just have to do one by itself because that's a whole nother concept.
Yeah, I listen to podcasts all day on sneakers. Complex has a whole podcast on sneakers. Like they do sneaker. Like if you ever get a chance, Complex has a show, a web series called Sneaker Shopping, where they go
Okay.
sneaker shopping with celebrities. I've seen Justin Timberlake. He just did one. I
Yeah, he
think
just bought like what 22 grand
twenty
worth of
two thousand
sneakers.
dollars in sneakers. Yeah, and you think, wow, that's a lot of sneakers. Technically, it's not. He could buy two sneakers and then a Grail that will push him over there. He bought the Red Octobers, which was Yeezy's first sneaker with Nike. That was a $15,000 shoe. Like people are buying shoes that cost more than some Camrys,
Jesus,
and they may not even wear them. He may wear them on stage one time, and
and
that's
then
it.
that's it.
And he did stock them. He did stock.
Crazy, crazy town, crazy town. Okay.
It gets
Well, since you are a guest on my show, I ask every guest this at the end of every show. So the name of our podcast is Coffee and Tea. So are you team coffee or team tea? And what do you actually drink?
I'm Team Coffee.
Mm.
Um,
Y'all coffee people got to get off my show.
yeah.
Um,
So this someone sent me something. I don't know who sent it to me. Yes, but I'm almost done. Give me a minute, okay, bud? I said maybe today or tomorrow. Didn't I say that? Okay. All right, so yeah, I'm a coffee guy, and it's funny because someone sent me. So I don't know who sent it to me on Facebook or Instagram. It said coffee spelled back, which is called epoch, which is which is funny because I don't give epoch about anything until I have my coffee.
Sir.
And so yeah, so my coffee of choice right now, I've gotten into. Good job, yes, Karen, coffee all day. Um, I've recently gotten to Dunkin'. At one time it was 7-Eleven, but 7-Eleven has stopped having all the cool flavors. They used to have the Reese's, the Snickers, creamer, and stuff like that. And he stopped doing that, so I stopped going to that. So I go to Dunkin', and again, it's just convenient for Dunkin' because it's right up the street from my job. I literally can walk from my job to Dunkin' Donuts. And what I get for those who want to ever buy me a cup of coffee, I
You're putting
drink
it on
a
there.
Dunkin'. I'm putting it. I drink a Dunkin' Midnight Large with butter pecan sweetener, 2 pumps of liquid cane sugar, and a shot of espresso. And that's my go-to. I don't care.
Level of
I
caffeine.
Yeah. Now the espresso is only when it's those mornings I may be coming from the gym, or I had one of those nights where I just couldn't get myself together. So the espressos, that's when I get the espresso. I don't get it every day because some days it gives me the jitters, and I don't like the way I feel. But yeah, coffee is just it's definitely my thing.
Okay. I don't know. Like it's been
Yeah. See, man, I love her already. Yes,
Sister Karen, I did not know this about you. Like,
midnight blend.
why?
Karen, get the midnight blend with the butter pecan sweetener. It will change if the right person makes it. It's such a nice contrast to each other. Yes, I go to
I'm
Dunkin' so much.
surrounded by coffee people.
I got so much points on my Dunkin' app. It's like I could get free coffee for probably a month.
That's ridiculous.
Because my kids even drink. Me and the first lady of my church, we say hi, then we tap cups. Like
That's terrible.
I normally go to Starbucks. Uh, I don't go to Starbucks as much as I used to, just because I can't from my house to work. There is no Starbucks without me going out the way. I mean,
Mm,
I could go in a Safeway or Giant, but it's not or Target. But I don't like going in and you have a Target employee trying to be a Starbucks barista.
barista.
It's a People say they still are, but it's you don't know it, but it's totally different when someone who's making it doesn't know. Like I went to Giant yesterday, and I like, can I get a grande white chocolate mocha with light whip extra and caramel drizzle? He gave it to me in a small cup, no caramel drizzle, and a whole lot of whipped cream. And then I think they had classes at Starbucks to purposely spell people's name wrong. Because I told this guy twice my name is Brian. I had on my work shirt so he could see and spell my name right, and he still called me Ryan. I think they are trained to deliberately, them and Chick-fil-A are
I've
deliberately trained.
never had my name spelled wrong at Chick-fil-A.
They called me Brock at Chick-fil-A.
That's
Where
hilarious.
did you get Brock from Brian?
Mm, that's what he
Like,
heard.
me and my daughter stood there for almost 5 minutes, like, Brock was like, he's like, you got the. I was like, my name is Brian. He's like, yeah, they put Brock on here. There's a whole class on misspelling people's name. It got to be. Because there's no way
Hilarious.
you saw my name on my shirt and it's bright red and you still get my name wrong.
They wasn't reading it. That you told him. That's what he heard. That's what he heard. Grace, sir, Grace. It's a lot of names. It's a lot of names they got to deal with. Brian, thank you so much
Thank you for
for
having me. This
being
was
being
fun.
on my show. There were other guests, but one of them's traveling, and I don't know what happened to the other one. He's in a different time zone, so he always messes up what time he's supposed to be on. But that's neither here nor there. I appreciate the information
No
and you
problem.
sharing your passion with us and all of our guests that are watching. Feel free to jump on any show anytime.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun. Again, I get goosebumps when I talk about the things I love, be it my family or my hobbies. So it's been fun
Mhm.
to come on here and educate in some way or another about sneaker culture, wrestling culture, those comic book culture. So again, thank you for this opportunity. For this platform, just for anything. So, but sound like that my daddy duties are calling me. Yes,
Yep,
son.
real quick before you leave, if the people want to catch you or try to ask you another question, where can they find you?
You can find me on all social media. I am an open book. Um, on Instagram. So I have on Facebook. I have two pages you could go to. One is in the basement would be where I do talk about comic books. I do facts about and reactions to movies, trailers, episodes, and things of that nature. Um, so you can look at it on in the basement with B. Also, I have a podcast that am currently in the process of relaunching. It is called the Married Life Podcast. It was founded. It was started by me and my late wife. So I've been struggling to come to terms with doing it without her. But I learned that I could use this platform as a way of healing for myself, as well as helping somebody else in the journey that they may be in as well. So you can find me on those platforms in the basement with B and the Married Life. That is MarriedLyfe podcast. The Married Life podcast. Actually coming up on doing an episode soon. So be on the lookout for that. I will post all links. I will make sure that Chris has the link as well so she can share it with her viewers. But yeah, so one time I did think about doing a sneaker podcast, but I think I'm a little way down with podcasts for right now because I do my In the Ride with B, which is kind of a branch of In the Basement with B. So
Mm-hmm.
things I can't talk about in the basement with B, I talk about on my ride with B, and I normally have my boys when I do that. So yeah, I'm a little way down with that, but I do have a sneaker podcast in the pipeline. I may not release that until next year sometime. I want to get some things situated because yeah, but in the basement with and yeah, so it's in the basement with me in the Merit Life podcast. That's where you can find me. Also, I do photography. So Johnson Strong Photography. Need any photography work done? I do weddings, bar mitzvahs, baby showers, gender reveals, cheaters. I do.
Whoa, whoa, bruh. That just went left. That just went left real fast.
But yeah, any kind of photography you need me done, I am there to do it. So yeah, again, thank you, Chris. This has been fun.
You're welcome. Thank you for being a guest. You can also catch him. He is a professor for Dating University.
Absolutely. Shout
This
out to
is
Charles
led
Pratt and Brittany.
by some friends of ours. So shout out to Dating University, Charles and Brittany. And then he has also been a guest on his brother's podcast. So it's uh,
Full service.
Anthony and Charles.
The
Same
husband
guy who
lounge.
does the dating university. Their podcast is called The Husband's Lounge, and they talk a great deal. They are on Apple Podcasts
And
and
Spotify.
Spotify. I'm
Yes.
telling you, like just the conversations that they have are amazing, and it's good to hear men talk about not only what it's like to be a husband, but the experience of being a husband and really getting into some of the conversations that we don't tend to talk about or give men an opportunity to talk about. The first episode, I've like been hooked ever since. So shout out to the Husbands Lounge podcast as well. So look for all of this. As you can see, I have friends who work. So we're all immersed in lots of different things. I don't have no lazy friends.
Yeah.
So one of these days, I'm gonna get all the podcasting people on, and we just gonna talk about this world of podcasting. So that's gonna be a good show too. But good night, everybody. See y'all in a couple weeks for our next show. So be on the lookout for the announcement. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend. Don't hurt yourselves. Be careful and find something good that you're into. Later.
Later.